A portion of this video is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. For more information about Sheath, visit the link in the description below or wait till the end of this video to hear more about them from me. This is just to make Donald Trump the feckless weakling in steep cognitive decline, who can't walk straight, who can't think straight, whose mouth isn't even straight. They want to make him feel good because he feels attacked. You know, it must be a real bummer. I wouldn't know anything about this, but it must be a real bummer when you're trying to be a tough guy and you just can't get out of your own way, or your cognitive decline and your ongoing slide into dementia just is stopping you. That's what's taking place with Donald Trump right now. This headline from the Daily Beast really says it all. Confused Trump, 79, mistakenly amplifies call to impeach himself. The president's tirade against a group of Democratic lawmakers backfired. And what they're talking about in this particular article from the Daily Beast is the fact that Donald Trump, this post that I showed yesterday or the other day that he retweeted, when you click on this one, it takes you to this other, which is an account, the name of which is Impeach Trump a Third Time. And the person is posting this particular screenshot of the Mark Kelly and Alyssa Slotkin and the other members of the intelligence community and former military with their video of "you can refuse illegal orders." And Donald Trump posted this, a call to impeach himself. And because he's in such a diminished cognitive state, a diminished emotional state, a dysregulated state, he's having to have his minions go out there and do the dirty work for him because he cannot function. I talked yesterday about his rapidly declining ability to walk under his own power, stumbling up a slight incline outside the Oval Office of the White House. And now he's having Karoline Leavitt and Pete Hegseth do his bidding. And let me get to that. Let's start with the Pete Hegseth thing. Pete Hegseth posted this long post on Twitter, backing up the Department of War's post about recalling Mark Kelly back to active duty in order to court-martial him. This is not just a veiled threat. This is just a threat of oppression, of freedom of speech, of punishing someone they don't agree with, who's calling it like it is, who's reminding service members of their oath. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but this is what he says. But there's another post from his personal account that lets you know all you need to know about how serious they're taking that. That this is not some threat to the republic. This isn't a threat to service members. This isn't a wink and a nod to service members to ignore lawful orders, as Karoline Leavitt said, which I'm going to get to in a minute. They're making jokes about this. They're taunting Mark Kelly, which is not something you would do going into a court-martial proceeding. So this is the post. We put it up there. This is the long, meandering post. We'll zoom in on it a little bit. So, quote-unquote, Captain Kelly. He's not quote-unquote captain. That's the rank he attained. Pete Hegseth, you spindly-legged coward. So Captain Kelly, not only did your sedition video intentionally undercut good order and discipline, but you can't even display your uniform correctly. Your medals are out of order and blah, 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 blah. This is the petty nonsense they're going after. And while trying to convince America that a real serious crime, sedition, was committed, that there's a seditious conspiracy underfoot. Also, you know, Donald Trump pardoned or commuted the sentences of 6 people who were convicted, literally convicted, of seditious conspiracy against the country. So they're not taking this seriously at all, without a doubt. Karoline Leavitt yesterday, you know, on the little path from the White House, little paved path, she's on her way to go talk to Fox News and gets interrupted, gets sidelined by reporters for a little impromptu presser. And what's interesting about the thing I'm getting ready to show you is there are 2 separate narratives that are being spun at the same time, and neither one meshes. When she talks to reporters, this person who's never served in the military, has no functioning understanding of what it's like to be in a military environment, to serve on active duty, to follow orders, to give orders. She has no idea. She's a college softball player. She's not a military veteran in any sense. But she tries to convince the press at the little gaggle that Mark Kelly is attempting to intimidate 1.3 million active duty members of our military. And then when she goes to Fox News, she uses the same number, 1.3 million active members, but it's not intimidate anymore. Minutes apart from these two things that she says, and neither one of them jibe. Watch this.
Is the White House supportive of the...
I'll answer that in a question, but go ahead.
Supportive of the Pentagon's investigation into Mark Kelly, and what do you make of his response that it's just intimidation?
The White House is supportive of the Department of War's investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, and I think what Senator Mark Kelly was actually trying to do was intimidate the 1.3 million active duty service members who are currently serving in our United States Armed Forces with that video that he and his Democrat colleagues put out. Senator Mark Kelly well knows the rules of the military and the respect that one must have for the chain of command, and that all lawful orders are presumed to be legal by our service members. You can't have a functioning military if there is disorder and chaos within the ranks, and that's what these Democrat members were encouraging. It's very clear, and not a single one of them, since they've been pressed by the media, and I'll give you guys credit for that, can point to a single illegal order that this administration has given down, because it does not exist. They knew what they were doing in this video, and Senator Mark Kelly and all of them should be held accountable for that.
First, let me say this. These people who put themselves out there as rabid patriots who love and respect the troops also think the troops are such weaklings that they are intimidated by a United States senator who's no longer on active duty or in anyone's chain of command, that they're intimidated by Mark Kelly. That's the military, apparently, that Republicans believe we have. So easily intimidated by a video that says, hey, remember your oath. You don't have to follow illegal orders. Great. Well, after that gaggle, she made her way down to talk to Martha McCallum, and this is a remarkable change of messaging in just a matter of a few moments. Watch this one.
It's not a coincidence that all of them have military or national security experience in their background. They were leaning into that experience to try and give a wink and a nod to the 1.3 million active duty service members who serve in our United States Armed Forces, and essentially encourage them to defy the orders of their commander-in-chief, which is illegal, by the way. Let me be very clear. Not a single order this president or administration has given to our military has ever been illegal, nor will it ever be. This administration respects and abides by the law, and these officials know it. They are trying to sow chaos and distrust, which is a very dangerous thing to do within the military's ranks. The sanctity of our military respects and relies on law and order and the chain of command, and that's what this administration is trying to say, and that's why the Department of War opened up this investigation against Senator Mark Kelly today.
Yeah, it's no longer intimidation. It's no longer essentially an intimidation tactic. Now it's a wink and a nod, bink, bink. A wink and a nod to the 1.3 million active duty service members who serve in the United States Armed Forces. And essentially, that's the wiggle room. That's the wiggle word there. She's not stating emphatically. She's essentially, basically, generally, essentially encourage them to defy the orders of their commander-in-chief. So is he trying to intimidate or encourage? Which one is it? I almost said Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not far off the mark. Which one is it, Karoline Leavitt? Which one is it, Republican Party? Which one is it, Donald Trump? Which one is it, Pete Hegseth? You're going to court-martial You're going to recall to active duty, which the mechanisms aren't even in place to do that. He's too old for this. I didn't retire from the military, so I don't know all of the ins and outs about what can be done and under what circumstances and at what age. And I mean, are 90-year-old veterans who speak out against Donald Trump, who retired from the military, are they at threat of being recalled to active duty? And again, as I said the very first time I talked about this a couple days ago, I don't believe this is going to happen. This is just bluster. This is just to make Donald Trump the feckless weakling in steep cognitive decline, who can't walk straight, who can't think straight, whose mouth isn't even straight. They want to make him feel good because he feels attacked. He feels like, wait, my dictatorial stance as a leader is being questioned. We must make people afraid. Under any other normal administration, this would not be tolerated. This is why Democrats, elected Democrats, and if you're not watching, if your staffers are watching, and if you're not watching, I know your constituents are watching. This is why we do not ally with Republicans on their legislation. We do not advance the agenda of Donald Trump in any way, in any shape, in any form. We do not do it. Do not vote for these idiotic measures of socialism is the real threat to the world. Jason Crow signed on and voted for that dumbass piece of legislation. And it's not because it's not a bill to be signed by the president. It's just a statement of intent or whatever, a messaging referendum. Why would Jason Crow, the same Jason Crow that was in this video, vote for that? Why would they vote for anything that Donald Trump and his Republican Party under Mike Johnson puts forward? I guess that's where I'll leave you. What do you think? You can leave a comment below. You can call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Man, I'm getting good at that. You'd think after thousands of times that I've said it, I could say it even quicker, but I can't. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another. It is absolutely difficult to keep a cool head in this political climate, especially with the added aggravation of these overheated outdoor temperatures. How can you be expected to conduct any clear-headed discourse with your drawers in a sweaty soup? My go-to for keeping things cool, sheath underwear. I'm wearing a pair right now, and let me tell you, it's like nighttime in the desert down there all day long. Head to sheath.com and use promo code Dollemore to score 20% off and upgrade yourself to the most comfortable underwear that you'll ever wear. How do they differ from your average boxers? Well, let me tell you. Invented by a U.S. Army veteran while serving a tour in Iraq, Sheath's boxer fabric is designed with a moisture-wicking technology. Their underwear features a unique dual pouch system that keeps all your man parts comfortably separated instead of sticking together. We all know the feeling of the old eggs getting stuck to the pan, if you know what I mean. My favorites are the airflow meshes, which seem especially equipped to handle my thighs, bigger thighs. But Sheath has also tons of other fabric options and designs that you can get into. And I'm clearly not the only one singing the praises out there. Sheath are recommended by multiple doctors and urologists and have over 20,000 five-star reviews. Also, Sheath supports multiple charities like Socks for Soldiers and Doctors Without Borders. So while you're upgrading your undies, you can be making the world a more upstanding place too. It's tough to focus on draining the swamp when you are swampy mess yourself. Sheath's boxers will help you keep the temperature down by bringing up the level of comfortability. Score 20% off right now at sheath.com and use promo code Dollemore.